My name is Catherine O'Neill.
And I'm Stacey Welton, and this is Fund and Flip.
Welcome to Fund and Flip.
We are here to talk to Marla Coffin, and we are very pleased today to be able to talk with Marla, who has a whole variety of careers that she's responsible or that she has been part of. And to that end, Marla, why don't you tell us a little bit about kind of where you came from, how you got into real estate, and then also what are you doing now specifically in real estate?
Sure, wonderful. My pleasure. Thank you for having me today. So my name is Marla Coffin. I'm the president and CEO of Marda Management. We are a full-service property management provider in the Windsor, Essex region. I was born and raised here in the Windsor area. As someone who grew up in this region, it was always very important to me to find a way to be able to give back to my community through the work that I chose to do, whatever that may be. And it certainly has evolved over the last 10 plus years. My husband and I started our business together 12 years ago, and it certainly has evolved, to say the least. And while we do provide full service property management through the wonderful staff set that we have working with us, we also have started in the last couple of years flipping houses. Certainly, having been in the industry for a long time, we've had an opportunity to have exposure, to create awareness that we didn't even really understand was something that was out there before. You know, you watch these HGTV shows and these different flipping shows, fix or flip, and all these different things. And it seems interesting, but not necessarily something maybe that you could do. Or that you could necessarily take advantage of or be part of. And we've fortunately found out in the last couple of years that we most assuredly have been able to. So that's been something that we've been excited about and something that we've really grown. So, you know, it was a need to start somewhere type of thing. We did a couple. Our original intention was to do one and just kind of see how it went. And that's been able to snowball. And fortunately, we've really been able to use it as a channel to supply for our family, to enjoy our lives and have some advantages that we're very privileged to be able to afford, enjoy some vacation, some great time with our daughter. We have a 2-year-old. So all of the things that we've set out to want to achieve, including giving back to our community, as I mentioned earlier, has been something we've been able to do in large part through starting to flip homes.
That sounds absolutely wonderful. And there's so much to be able to talk about there. So you talked about how the work that you do, flipping houses, rehabbing houses, improving them, and then selling them to other people, that helps support your family, possibly your friends. It may also, I'm going to imagine that you probably employ some folks as well. So can you talk a little bit about how this helps family and your community?
Sure, absolutely. The desire to achieve clean, fresh and affordable housing within our region is a tough nut to crack, if you will. It's not an easy thing to be able to achieve, but what we found is that by employing people full time to be able to renovate these homes, which you can only really start to do once you have a number of them going, so that you're not just piecemeal having a renovator and then you're done with them and then on again, off again. It's allowed us to maintain cost efficiency. And that's so critical, because if we can maintain a little bit better cost efficiency, we can still make a little bit of profit on these flips like we're set out to do, but we don't necessarily need to make a ton to make it worth our while because of all the costs that some people incur. So that's been something that's been really beneficial, because it's kind of a win-win. It not only employs people within our community, which is really an honor to be able to provide, within the Windsor Essex region, but it also allows us to maintain those costs at a reasonable enough level that we can turn around and be able to provide that safe, clean, and somewhat affordable, hopefully affordable housing. The market is going a little bit hairy right now, but again, when we can keep those costs down, we can turn around and maintain some level of affordability for the people that are buying. Because our goal is really to have people buy these homes so that they can make memories and raise their family, and they can have a great place to call home. So if we can find a way to do that in a level of cost efficiency, that's really the formula. That's key.
That's absolutely excellent. So with this, you seem really busy between the property management that you do, as well as the flipping that you are doing, and the people that you have on staff there, your employees. Tell me a little bit. You said you've got a 2-year-old daughter. So
yeah.
How is this all working with your 2-year-old daughter?
Well, I can appreciate the question, that's for sure, because it isn't easy and it is busy. But one of the things that I've learned since having our daughter 2.5 years ago is that you truly do find a way to make time for what you want to make time for. And there is a way to juggle. There is a way to balance. It takes time. It takes attention. It takes strategy. Sometimes you have to rely on other people, and that's not easy to do because, sometimes our nature tells us we can just do it ourselves. We can do it faster, or maybe cheaper, or maybe better, or whatever. But that's just not realistic when you are trying to have a solid family life and a child at home and run a business and do flips and whatever else might be going on. So, as she gets older, I'm assuming that it's even going to continue to get busier because she's going to be doing lots of activities and other things like that. So my husband and I have really set out to make sure that while we are on this journey and we are taking the time necessary to invest what's required into our flipping business, we are also simultaneously spending the time that we want and need to spend as a family. And that's something that it's so easy to get lost. It's so easy to just in one ear out the other, and you're just flying by the seat of your pants, running around as a business owner, trying to build a business, make it work, figure out how to make it work. All those things they take time and they take energy and they take bandwidth. But we decided that we were going to spend every other week, 1 day a week off with my daughter. So we have had the privilege pretty much since she was born that one of us is off 1 day each week with her. So she does go to daycare as well a few days a week. But again, it's some one-on-one time that just is a privilege for us to be able to have. But you kind of just have to decide that you're going to find a way to build your business around those goals. Otherwise, it's just easy to get sucked in. And before you know it, it's Christmas again.
So you mentioned your husband, Dale, and your business partners for a long time in all your multiple businesses. Can you talk a little bit about, because we talked with Allison and her husband, Terry, recently. Can you talk about how is it to work with your spouse?
Sure. Well, first of all, let's just be honest, it's not really always easy, but it is something that is extremely enjoyable on the whole. It gives us such an opportunity to be able to play off each other's strengths. There's no one that I know better than my husband, and there's no one that he knows better than me. So to be able to join that through not only our marriage and our relationship, but also through our business endeavors has literally been like the secret key, because he knows what I need and I understand what he needs, and he knows how he can offset some of my challenges and vice versa. So although sometimes, everybody needs a little bit of space, everybody needs to be able to work through some things, and we each kind of have our own roles in the businesses that we take care of. And that goes a long way. Understanding what those roles are and both being comfortable with them is absolutely key. But it has truly been a gift because we really offset each other well. And we're able to bring that, like I say, not just in our home life, but in our work life too.
You were talking about the work that you do in the community, and that there are properties that you find people acquire, and then you turn them around, you improve them, and you sell them. Are there stories that you can tell us that you remember about maybe some of the people that you bought houses from, and maybe some of the circumstances under which people would be selling these, and maybe some of the services or the benefits? It could be, for your company in particular. Like how do you help those people who are interested in selling to you so that you can fix up their house?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll share a particular story that I have come to mind when you ask that question. On the property management side, we had a property owner who had a single family home, which we managed. It was a rental. We took care of it for her for a long time, but it definitely needed some infrastructural upgrades. It needed some supports underneath the house. It needed some different things. And she just wasn't in a financial position to be able to do that. So we ended up actually having a conversation when the last tenant left. And, we talked about how important it is to meet that clean, safe, and affordable standard on our property management side too. And unfortunately, in this particular case, it was just something that exceeded what that particular owner was willing or able to do at that time. And so because this particular client wasn't in a position to be able to invest what was necessary to create that clean, safe, and affordable home for a renter, we said we would be more than willing to come in, purchase it from her, do the required upkeep, renovations, infrastructural work that I mentioned, and then sell it to a family that could basically just create a home for themselves and call it a great place to call home. So we came to an agreement and we were able to renovate it. We were really proud of what we were able to do with that home because it did need some love. But we were able to give it what it needed and invest the funds that it needed in order to be that clean, safe, and affordable housing. We renovated it wonderfully. It was cute. It was beautiful. It was a smaller home, but a 3-bedroom, 1-bath. On a crawl space, but it had a nice backyard. And, like I say, it really met the standard of being a clean, safe, and affordable housing. And it was beautiful. It was lovely. And then we were able to sell it back to a family who was able to enjoy it and create their own memories there. So that was definitely a win-win. And that was a situation where it just wasn't the right time for her, for the seller. But we were able to come in and make it work for that seller and for us. And we do that on a regular basis with sellers. Sometimes sellers aren't in a position to invest the money necessary to upkeep their home, or they're prepared to sell regardless. Maybe they're intending to sell, but they don't want to necessarily have things looking grade A for the open market. So this is an opportunity for us to come in, purchase the home, make it easy on the seller. They don't necessarily need to dispose of garbage or things they might leave behind that they don't want. They don't necessarily need to close on a day that's good for the buyer. They can close on a day that's good for them. And we try to be accommodating on as many of those things as we possibly can, so that, we can make it as easy on the seller as possible.
I think probably a lot of people don't know that that's an option. They think that maybe when you're selling privately, it's some sort of, I don't know, maybe illegal thing. I certainly thought that way. And then to hear that you have, more than one option. You can go with a realtor, and realtors are great. And as you said, if you've got like a great property and you're prepared to you're good with the open houses, you're good with what you've got, you've been maintaining the house pretty well, then life is good.
Sure.
But sometimes there's circumstances where, and we've heard from other people, maybe that they haven't done the maintenance, maybe that they're a little bit embarrassed about stuff, or maybe that they've got a lot of stuff and they just want to be able to not have to deal with it. Then there's actually an option for those people as well. And I had no idea that this service was out there.
Yeah, that's true for a lot of people. A lot of people think that, you have to sell and buy with a real estate agent. That's not a requirement. It's not the law. Real estate agents can be great tools. They can be a wealth of knowledge and information. But ultimately, there are still other options. And I think that it's just important to consider, as you mentioned, Catherine, for all kinds of reasons. At the end of the day, the open market today, especially because it is such a hot market throughout Canada, quite honestly, in most cities in Canada, it calls for a clean home, often a home that even has been staged with furniture. It calls for a home that is top notch, open houses. Usually, our most recent sale, I think, had like 70 showings. So that's 70 people. If you're living in that house, which in this case we weren't, but a lot of sellers are living in their home, that's 70 people through their home. Meanwhile, we're still just hopefully wrapping up a bit of a pandemic, right? Like we're hoping to wrap this up. So, do you really want 70 people through your home during a time of uncertainty with everything else going on? Not necessarily. So certainly there is room for opportunity for sellers who that just doesn't work for them. And, there are alternatives.
So I have a question for you, Marla. You've been in this business quite a long time, and it sounds like you and Dale, I know you built the Marda management, property management company.
Yeah.
What was it, as a business person, what was it that prompted this additional sort of, it's not a change because I know you still have the Marda management, but just this additional sort of moving into sort of the rehabilitation of homes aspect of your business? Was there any one particular thing, or?
Well, we were doing a lot of in-house maintenance on the property management side. So that's more smaller repairs. Our maintenance technicians might do 3 to 6 a day, depending on the scope of what they need to do. So small items, but many of them, a high volume because of the property management side. And so, we started to realize that we were overseeing renovations for other property owners of rental properties. And we were taking care of that for them because sometimes those are out of town owners. And we need to be here in the Windsor region, available at the ready, coordinating, organizing, inspecting, things of that nature. And so we started to realize we might be able to do this in-house and actually expand our maintenance technician team to include a renovation team. And perhaps we could just renovate for ourselves, renovate our own flip houses. So that's how that started to evolve. When we first did it, we thought maybe we could renovate homes, rent them, and then sell them to our own clients on the property management side. That was our initial idea, how this all started. But then we started to realize that there was such a high need in the community, not just for rentals, but home ownership. And people were struggling when they wanted to occupy a home. Sometimes they were struggling to get into the market on the note of clean, safe, and affordable housing. So we realized that we could actually meet a couple of different needs by moving in that direction. And that's why we did it that way.
Oh, that's great. That makes a lot of sense for sure. Where do you guys see the company moving in the future? Do you have plans for the next 5-10 years on growing it?
Well, we do want to continue doing flips for sure, because it's something that's really enabled us to live a nice work-life balance life that I mentioned, spending time with our daughter, spending time with each other, traveling, but still working hard when we're here and making enough reasonable money to pay for that lifestyle while still giving back to our community. So we definitely want to continue doing the flips. Our first year, we did 2 flips and one where we just bought it, did very minimal work and put it back on the market. So 2, maybe call it 3, but not very many. We just did a few. And that was, I say not very many now, but let me be clear, that was a ton at the time.
I'm sure.
Like, we did 2 flips this year. It was a lot. It was a lot. We were very busy, and it was a little bit of a new world for us. Although there was a lot of crossover, it was still a new world. So that was a very busy year. And we realized, okay, we could probably start to scale this and do more of this. One of the ways that we were able to scale was because we were able to show contractors. So that was both our in-house contractors, but also those that we outsourced to, like plumbers, roofers, electricians, things of that nature. We were able to show those vendors that we will have consistent and repetitive work for them. And that is attractive because this is a busy market. It's not tough for contractors to find work right now, but it sure is easier for them if they can find work repetitively with the same customers, the same clients who they know what their expectations are. They know how they pay. They know they can count on them. And you, as the flipper, get to know the contractor. They have WSIB, they have insurance. That they start to understand your standards. It's a two-way street. So even though there's no shortage of work per se for these contractors, showing them the consistent, repetitive stability has been really beneficial in being able to get them to continue working for us and being at the ready when our homes are ready, right?
Right.
And that's always a bit of a trick too. So we thought, well, if we continue doing that with these vendors, we can probably start to grow beyond just doing a couple a year, which, as I mentioned, was already feeling like plenty. But our second year, we actually did 10 flips the second year. So we were able to do a lot. And that was mostly a result of us saying, okay, let's get really serious about this. And let's make it more than just kind of we're trying a thing. And let's, assign certain things to my husband and business partner, Dale, certain things to myself. We divided the responsibilities and we just went at it that way. And that went really well. we definitely are learning some things. We've definitely made some mistakes, and we're definitely trying to learn from them the best we can. But this year we are on track to do 30. So we are expecting to be able to complete 30 this year. We have right now 19 on the go.
That's incredible. Good for you. And talk about expanding the people that you can employ in your community and the quality of life that I think you provide for them as well, to have this predictable income. They know they have work. They know they have work for the year, especially when you're doing volume like that. And then that affects their quality of life. It's a real ripple. It sounds like it. Yeah,
that's one of the most attractive things for bringing contractors in-house is the idea that you will be able to give them consistently and repetitively 40 hours a week. Because in the contracting industry, it just doesn't go that way. Winter's slow, summer's busy. They might be working 6-7 days when the weather's nice. They're struggling when it's not so great out, and when the cyclical market hits and all these sorts of things. But to be able to show them stability, to be able to represent work-life balance for them too, is attractive. So it's very rewarding to be able to continue employing and expanding those that we employ through the Marda management banner, through our flip homes, through our renovators, all of that. That's very, very rewarding. And any way that we can continue to grow and expand and bring on more staff, we are. Obviously, with doing a number of flips this year, we are definitely expanding our team we already have, and we're continuing to expand. But the core is really, how do we continue to provide that safe, clean, and affordable housing, and really making sure that we're not getting away from that, because that's definitely at the root of what we want to try to continue to do, for sure.
Well, certainly I heard you say, things that people might be surprised at. WSIB, which is the Workman's Safety and Insurance Board. So that's insurance that every tradesperson has in order to be able to protect themselves if they get injured or other aspects, as well as all the other aspects that you would have. And it certainly would be reassuring, I would think, for your company, for the people, but also then for homeowners to know that you have that level of professionalism. Yeah. That this isn't just somebody swinging a hammer on Friday night. This is, that you're protecting yourself, you're protecting the property, and you're protecting your workers.
100%. And something that's really interesting about WSIB and how that works, especially as you do start to grow as a flipper, if you're doing a house here or there, that's one thing. But if you are deemed as someone who is running a business, which, in the flipping industry, certainly we want to be considered to be running a business, or at least that's what we're trying to do. Then WSIB actually holds you responsible. So if you hire someone and they don't have WSIB, you're actually responsible for paying it on their behalf. And a lot of people don't realize that. If someone were just to come over to your personal private residence, let's say, and replace your backsplash, they don't have to have WSIB. That's not a requirement. But if you hire them to go onto one of your properties that you own as part of your business, say in fix and flip, say as a property manager, if you have a buy and hold or any of these sorts of things, then you're actually responsible for that WSIB premium, which can be anywhere from like 2 to 7%, sometimes higher if there have been workplace injuries in the past. So it's just something that's really important to be aware of. It's something I didn't know before. And it's something we learned, unfortunately, the hard way, because we didn't always have people with WSIB. We didn't know that that was something that was important. We were looking at their skills, and if they have the skills, we were good with it. But it's certainly over the last few years that has changed as a result of learning our own requirements and our own responsibilities. And then, of course, we always look to have our vendors have insurance as well. Those are our outside vendors I'm referring to, because if anything should happen, you want to protect yourself, especially if you're trying to grow a business and continuing to expand. You want to make sure that you have the proper coverage in case anything happened. Hopefully not, but in case anything did happen, you'd be covered and have that protection for you, your business, and your family.
And then you were mentioning, you talked a little bit about a story with someone who had sold to you, but the importance of having, safe, clean, affordable housing for people in your community. And I know, pretty sure you went to a school for social work. So that would sort of, that desire to help people would fit in with your history.
Yeah, I have a history, actually, not specifically social work, but psychology, political science, fundraising. We did a lot of nonprofit fundraising in my background and things of that nature. And certainly it really does tie in. And, we've had times where, we've had similar stories of needing to and wanting to help the buyer too. I can think of one example last summer where we had a single dad who was simply trying to get into the housing market. And it was really tough. I mean, the housing market in the last 2 years has been really tough in any city almost in Canada. So, we were able to come into contact with this gentleman actually through our realtor, because our realtor was trying desperately to get him into the market. And he had offered on something like 50 something properties and not been successful. And he was struggling. His rental that he was in was no longer going to be available because the landlord was choosing to do something different with it. And we simply were trying to figure out, do we have something that can accommodate this family? And in the end, we were able to come up with something. We were able to do a lesser amount of work to the home, but still replace the roof and do some things that the home needed to make sure that it met that, clean, safe, and affordable standard. And then we were able to actually get this gentleman and his family into the housing market without having to go through however many more offers may have been required for him to get there. So that was, just an example of a story on the buying side that we were really excited about, because I want to see people in our community flourish, not struggle. And the rental market or the housing market altogether is just really tough right now. So that was certainly something that was made us very happy and allowed us to be confident and comfortable in what we were doing within the Windsor Essex region.
And that's something we've heard consistently, isn't it, Stacey? These folks who you might think are just in it, I don't know, for whatever reason, but the care and the time that they spend to get to know the people that they are buying from and to help them, often going above and beyond. And then similarly, caring about the people who are buying from them, giving them something which is clean, is safe. It doesn't need maintenance. If somebody's not handy, if somebody's got a young family, doesn't need maintenance for a number of years, that's just a really big benefit. And I think sometimes people forget that that's what you get when you don't have we bought a fixer-upper because my husband likes to do that stuff and he's handy. But not everyone is like that. And so there's, just like we talked about with realtors and people who sell privately, there's a place for both. There's a place for the fixer-uppers, and then there's a place for the ones where I get in there and I live my life.
Right. You bring up a great point, Catherine, if I may, about the maintenance piece, because that's tough, especially on first-time homeowners, because homes need maintenance. That's just comes with it. So one of the things we actually did on one of our sales that was pretty cool was we actually set it up where we included maintenance for 12-month period after the purchase. This is only one time that we've done it, but it was pretty successful, and it gave a lot of peace of mind to the buyer. We didn't actually do it at any increased price because we felt a level of confidence that we had done and created a level of workmanship that, pretty much everything in the home was new. We had really done a lot of work infrastructurally on the home, and, it had everything from a new roof to a new furnace, et cetera. So we felt pretty confident in being able to provide that. But the peace of mind that gave the buyer was substantial. And we found that to be a really cool added thing that we were able to do, that we could feel confident in because we know our own workmanship, and the buyer could feel confident in because while he didn't know our workmanship, he certainly was excited about the peace of mind for the first year of his home ownership at that particular residence. So that was something unique that we've done before that we would certainly be open to doing again, especially for people who are first-time home buyers. I mean, like I say, it's it's a bit of a different world than renting, that's for sure. And, generally speaking, when you're a renter and something goes wrong, you call the landlord, and the landlord comes and fixes it. And that's not so much the case when you own the house. So, that's something unique that we've done, that's been able to give a little bit of peace of mind to the buyer.
Oh, that would be huge. And I would have wished for that when we moved into our house. So I will although, as I said, it was a fixer-upper. So no, nobody was there to be able to help us. If people wanted to reach out to you, Marla, to be able to learn more about your property management or learn more about the work that you do in rehabbing houses or whatever, it will be in the notes. But in case people are listening to this on the podcast, how might they get a hold of you?
Certainly. So you can reach out to me in a couple different ways. You can reach out to me on social media. My Instagram is @Marla Coffin, or you can also visit our company website, which is www.mardamanagement.com. Or certainly you can send me an email, marla@mardamanagement.com. So don't hesitate to reach out. I'm always looking to connect, always looking to continue to create relationships, and find ways that we can connect with people in our community.
That's fabulous. That's fabulous, Marla. I have one question. It's a question I've been asking all of our guests.
Sure.
And I'm just finding it really interesting to hear everyone's response, which is, if someone were to be fresh, really interested in starting their own real estate journey, what would be your initial suggestion to them? How do they start?
So I'm going to actually take that question and share the biggest cheat code that I can possibly share. And that is, find a way to pay for mentorship. Get mentorship. Get someone who has done it. Get someone who has done that track before. Find a way to join groups. If it costs, a membership fee or whatever it costs, find a way to get in the same room as people who have already done it. Because I didn't learn that until much more recently in my career. And had I learned that sooner, I feel like I could have saved so many mistakes. I could have cut so many corners that I didn't have to otherwise learn on my own. And the value and the benefit of those communities is that maybe Catherine can learn from my mistakes and maybe I could learn from Stacy's, right? And how valuable is it that only one out of the three of us has to make a single mistake for all three of us to learn? That's like the biggest cheat code that I could possibly share with anyone. And it's just something I didn't learn until I was well into the development of our business. So that's what I would say is find a way to join communities that are similar to yours, networking groups that are similar to yours, mentorship that is along the lines of what you are trying to do. Any of those things, whether it's local BIA stuff, whether it's Chamber of Commerce, whether it's real estate groups, whether it's online groups, find a way to connect with other like-minded people and learn from what they're doing.
Cool.
I love it. Thank you. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
I think we've come to the end. It's been absolutely wonderful talking with you, hearing about your journey, hearing about your family and your very inspirational businesses as I know a key business leader in the Windsor, Essex area. So really great. I'm sure we'll have a chance to talk with you again in the future. So thank you for all of that. And please feel free to listen to more episodes. And if people want to contact us, Stacy, how do they contact us?
Yes, if you'd like to chat with us, feel free to reach out to us at our email, which is Equity Hub Toronto. I apologize. Feel free to reach out to us at our proper email address, which is equityhubcanada@gmail.com, or on Instagram at equity_hub. And again, thank you so much, Marla. I really appreciate all the time you spent with us. I know you're very busy. And
my pleasure.
It's been really inspiring, so appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.